Good day, good people. Good day, good people. We got a special show for y'all today. We got the Sunday word, man. Woke up feeling inspired. Had a good word on my mind, so I figured I got to jump on and share it with y'all. So I took a couple notes this morning. Literally, it was storming. I slept in a little bit today. I woke up and I went back to sleep for a little bit, and then just was laying there, and it started storming. And I said, you know what? This is the perfect day to start the Sunday word, give some good energy, and just make sure that I'm putting out the right energy, the right frequency in order to receive the things that I want to receive. So we'll give it a couple seconds for everybody to join. If you're listening to the video live, or if you're listening to it after I already, go live, please make sure that you're liking, like. That's going to help for the algorithm. Y'all know what we're on. We're on as many different people engaging in the conversation, engaging in the space. So therefore, we can get everybody's perspective and figure out how we can grow. All right. The goal is to grow with everybody. Got the little soulful soundtrack in the back. We're going to see how that goes. So we're going to try to keep that for the entire Sunday word. This will not be a long show. I anticipate it being about, 15 minutes. And then we're going to get out of here. 15 minutes, if that. Just wanted to share with y'all what was on my mind and just go from there. So we'll give it a minute or so. Allow everybody to come in. I didn't share this or anything. I said, you know what? I'm just going to jump on live. We'll see what happens. So here we are. So we'll give it a minute for people to join, and then we'll get into the Sunday word. And I hope everybody's having a good weekend. I can't just leave it, not be saying anything while I'm on camera with y'all. There's always something for me to say, right? Always got something to say. Oh, the sun's actually coming out. See, this is the perfect. All right, so it's happening in perfect time, in real time. And you know what? We just gonna get into it, man. We just gonna get into it. Let me make sure this is down enough. Make sure this is out enough. I wish somebody was on and they could just tell me if you can hear the music in the background. I want you to be able to hear the music in the background, but not hear it to the point where you can't hear me. So hold on, let me actually try this real quick. Let me actually test it out hold on. I'm gonna test it out. So if anybody is listening, y'all can let me know. Make sure that the music is in the background. But if not, no worries. We're going to get into it. So we're going to get into the show today. All right, let me move this to the side. All right. So welcome to the Sunday word, man. Like I said, I woke up feeling inspired. It was storming this morning, this AM, and it just reminded me. To tell the truth, I was actually thinking about doing this yesterday. I was like, oh, tomorrow you should do a Sunday word. And I started off, I usually jot down some notes, and nothing was coming to my mind. Like I wasn't able to get anything on paper, or typing, I should say. and it was just blank. And then as soon as I woke up today, it was storming. I'm like, oh, boom, got it. So I wrote down a couple notes, and it's hopefully I can make sure that I'm touching on everything that I wanted to discuss with y'all. But the reason why the storm inspired me and inspired the word that I'll be giving right now is because I know a lot of times we go through it different seasons, right? We go through different seasons, and we can question sometimes the current season that we're in. If we're going through, it just seems like every day there's just something piling on top of each other. There's another problem, there's another challenge. There's just something that randomly happens that's an unfortunate situation, or just seems to be a setback for whatever reason. And I'm going through that right now. And I'm realizing, like, it's all just a test, it's all just a challenge, and it's all just pushing me to get to where I need to get to in order to accomplish the things that I'd like to accomplish, and maximize my ability to fulfill my purpose as best I can. So when I was thinking about the name of the show, as you can see on the bottom of the screen, it says "Embracing the Storm." Initially, I was going to write "Weathering the Storm," and when I looked up "Weathering the Storm," I'm gonna tell you what came to mind. Hold on, let me actually just show y'all. So I was like, "What does weathering the storm mean?" Weathering the storm meaning. So I looked it up, and it said it's an idiom that means to successfully deal with a difficult situation, without being seriously harmed or damaged too much. And I didn't like that. I said, "Nah, we got to embrace the storm. We got to embrace the storm." And it's for a lot of the reasons that I'm getting ready to tell you right now. Every lesson that we get, every lesson that we receive is usually comes through challenging times. And the greatest lessons that we'll rely on throughout our entire lives, those are the ones that come from a lot of times what we'll call our darkest times, or going through a storm. And I looked at it this morning, this AM, in a different way. And I said, you know what? I said, perhaps this storm, these day after day of things that I think that are challenging or negative things, however you look at them, I'm not going to look at them as negative. I'm going to look at them as, this is something that's forcing me to grow in a particular area. It's forcing me to grow. And y'all know I relate everything to sports. So what was coming to my mind was that when you don't address a problem in sports, let's say you're competing in basketball, if you don't address a particular problem that you have, it's going to continuously show up. And what's going to happen is, as the season goes on, there's more meaningful games. Then you have the playoffs, everything. The meaning of every game, it grows. And therefore, those same problems that you thought weren't huge issues in the beginning, they not only show up as they were showing up in the beginning later in the season, but now they're showing up in ways, and it's harming you. You're not equipped to deal with the challenges that you're facing, or in order to overcome them. So you're not built for it. So therefore, it's forcing you. These storms that we go through in life, they're just forcing us to grow in certain areas. They're highlighting it for us. When everything's sunny, my coach used to always tell us, like, whenever, good game, bad game, when you have a good game and you're looking at the film, you're going to have a lot of the same problems that show up in a bad game. The only difference is our perspective and how we're looking at it. When things are sunny, when we're having a good game, we tend to overlook things. We tend to not look at the shortcomings or the things that we need to work on, compared to when we're going through a storm. That's the time to self-analyze. That's the time to dig in and really look at, what am I doing? Where do I need to grow? What areas am I coming up short that are preventing me from accomplishing the goals that I'm setting out to accomplish? So as I'm going off on all these tangents with you all now, I was going off on all these tangents in my mind. That's why I always got to write down the notes. And I realized that it takes different elements for anything to grow. And even looking around right now, like, I have a bunch of plants in here, and I'm in the Jersey spot. So I'm in Hackensack. And in Hackensack, all my plants are inside, compared to Miami, where all the plants are outside. And when you look at what it takes to grow a plant, what it takes for a plant to grow, it's almost opposing elements. You have the rain and then you need the sun, right? The sun, everything's all good. That's when everything, life is good, everything's going smoothly. You just seem to be gliding along. But you can't just grow with that. You also need the rain, right? So here you have these opposing elements where, I mean, sometimes I guess you could say opposing, but in all actuality, they're complementary. We look at them as opposing, but in all actuality, they're complementary because that plant needs a certain amount of sunlight, and each plant is obviously going to be different, just like all of us are different. Each plant is going to need a different amount of sunlight compared to the other plant, and also a different amount of rain. But the plant doesn't, get mad at the rain that comes. No, it embraces it because it knows that it needs it to grow. And one of the things that I realized that I thought was interesting, which I have the same plant right here, the same plant that's inside in a comfortable place right here. It's flourishing right now. It's all green, bunch of different leaves on it. I forget the name of the plant, but it's one of those plants with like the huge leaves. And then I look at the same plant that I have in Miami on the balcony, and that plant just looks like it's going through a struggle. It just looks like it's going through a struggle. And even though it looks like it's going through a struggle, I realized that the stem on the Miami plant is so much stronger. It doesn't have as many leaves, but the stem and the roots are actually a lot stronger because it's had to go through just a tougher environment. On the balcony, there's a lot of storms that come. There's a lot of wind that's knocking the plant over. A lot of times I come back to Miami and the plant's knocked over. Got to pick it back up. I'm like, is this plant gone? Is it dead? And it just keeps fighting. It just keeps fighting. So how do you look at it? Do you look at this plant that may be, just looking like it's flourishing, but not necessarily equipped to go through a storm? Or do you look at the other plant and say, hey, that plant does not look like it's doing as well, but it is equipped to go through a storm? And what it shows me is that we just have to find the right balance. We have to find the right balance for both, for not only, being able to flourish, but also being able to grow and making sure that we have a strong enough foundation to not just weather a storm, but to embrace the storm and make sure that we're growing through it. So moving on a little bit. What are some other things that I wanted to mention? Um, related to muscles, related to what we do in the gym. It's the same exact thing. If we're looking to get stronger, what do we have to do? We have to go into the gym. We have to constantly break down those muscles so that when they regenerate, that they're growing stronger. All right. So we have to do the very same thing, whether it's mentally, physically. We have to do all these things when we're going through a storm in life. We have to feed, and it's not just about breaking down the muscles, because when you break down the muscles, what do we also have to do? We have to make sure that we're getting the right nutrition, so therefore it can feed the muscles so that they are regenerating in a much stronger way. Well, we also have to make sure that we're feeding our minds when we're going through these storms and we're going through these challenging times, to make sure that we're feeding our mind positivity. If we feed our minds negativity, what do we know is going to keep happening? We know that it's going to just be a snowball effect of, now we start playing the victim mentality. We start to think like, oh, I just have bad luck. Negative things just happen to me. I just can't get right. I just can't get a win. We start putting all these things in our mind, and we start programming our subconscious that can't decipher between, oh, our mind's telling us that we can't get a win, that we just have negative things happen to us. So what does our subconscious then do? Programs our conscious to put that energy out into the world. So then what comes back to us, just more and more negativity. So we have to make sure that we're feeding our minds, no matter what we're going through, that we're feeding our minds with a certain level of positivity, most importantly, when we're going through these challenging times. So when we're feeding our mind the positivity, it allows us to embrace the storm that we're going through and make sure that we get as much lessons, as much skills, as much strength as we need to out of those challenging times. It's a season, right? We go through different seasons. So if we're going through each season, we want to make sure that we're embracing each season to a certain point, that we can make sure that we're taking away as much value from that season as possible, in order to then, put in our tool bag to use for different things that we may be going through moving forward. So it actually reminds me of, have you guys ever heard that quote where it's tough times create strong men, strong or women. Strong men. Just I'm just going to use strong men for the quote. But it's tough times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men, and weak men create tough times. And what does this show us? This shows us the importance of going through and embracing those challenges. All right. Embracing those challenges, inviting them, because we know that there's going to be a lot of good lessons that come with that we are going to then be able to apply in order to keep raising the bar for ourselves, to make sure that we're growing and making sure that we can live out our purpose as much as we can. All right. We can't look at it as if, oh, I just want these easy times. I just want the sunshine. I don't want any rain, and think that we're just actually going to grow through life. It just doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen with plants that way. It doesn't happen with our muscles that way. And it just doesn't happen with our lives. We have to go through things in order to learn those lessons. And we shouldn't rob ourselves of those lessons. Just think about when somebody just has an easy experience throughout their entire life, and then they finally get to challenging times, maybe when they're 30s or 40s, and they're not even able to function. And it's because they never ever went through any type of struggle. They do not know how to overcome. They do not know how to embrace it and just even enter it with the right mindset, inviting it, knowing that something's good's going to come from it. Look at the people that are most successful. The people that are most successful in your life, the people that you read about. Let's look at the movies. They don't make movies off of people that just have just a good life and nothing changed. No, they make movies off of the people that actually went through things and came out better for it on the other side. That's what we embrace. That's what we love, right? So we have to make sure that we're incorporating that same mindset into our day-to-day lives. All right. And one of the things that we don't, or I tell you that I'm not as good at, is making sure that we're celebrating the wins. So we'll talk about, embracing the storm and all this other stuff. That's an important aspect. But on the other end, when we get to the sunshine, making sure that we're outside and enjoying that as well. Let's embrace that as much or even more in some ways. Because when we embrace the good times and when we celebrate, we have to intentionally celebrate. I've been telling myself for the last couple months that whenever I get paid, I need to celebrate that. Even if it's something small. I don't know what people like. I'm not a big cigar smoker. Maybe I need to smoke a cigar, or maybe I need to um, take the family out to dinner, or maybe just take myself out to dinner, go get a massage. Whatever it is, we have to make sure that we're celebrating the good times. And I hate to say the good times because they're both good times in their own ways, but we have to celebrate the sunshine as well, because how else, just like we talked earlier about, we program our subconscious, or we put certain thoughts into our subconscious, and then that programs our conscious, and that programs the energy that we put out. So how are we going to make sure that the universe knows the things that we want to receive? We have to make sure that we're celebrating and telling the universe, this is what we like. We like big wins. We like living in abundance. We like making a positive impact in our community, in our family. We like making people feel good. We like dressing nice. Whatever it is for you, we have to make sure that we're celebrating those things, obviously in a responsible way that's within our means. But we have to make sure that we're celebrating those things to let the universe know, like, hey, bring more of that. Just like you're sitting down at a restaurant, and if you're eating a bunch of the stuff that you love and maybe leaving out some of the stuff that you're not really feeling, what are you telling the waiter or the waitress? Oh, bring more of that. That's the thing that I like. So we have to make sure that we're doing that with our minds, and not just, having almost, I know for me, I struggle with just having more of a save mentality. Oh, I'll celebrate later. I'm on my grind. No, bro, forget the grind. It doesn't always have to be the grind. Like, we can, I get it. The grind is necessary for certain reasons, but sometimes we got to celebrate those wins. We got to celebrate it. We got to enjoy life. We got to enjoy the people around us. We gotta, even if, especially if we're leaders in our work, family, community, whatever it is, we have to make sure that we're providing a space to encourage other people to celebrate those times as well. Because what ends up happening sometimes, if you're the leader of your group and you don't have a culture that celebrates wins and you're all about just grinding and embracing the grind and embracing the struggle, people get burnt out. What did we talk about earlier? There needs to be a balance, right? We don't just want to, embrace the storm, and we don't just want to be happy in the sunshine. We need to understand the balance that comes along with it, the yin and the yang, and how we can merge the two together in order to become the best versions of ourselves. So let me finish up here. I told y'all I wouldn't keep y'all for too long. But the goal, yeah. And the goal is always the same. The goal is always the same. The goal is to become the best versions of ourselves. We believe in purposeful abundance, right? That's what we always talk about. Purposeful abundance, living in our purpose, embracing our purpose, fulfilling our purpose to the best of our ability. So the only way to do that is to become the best versions of ourselves. The only way that we can inspire others around us and provide that love and inspiration to our family, our loved ones, and perhaps set themselves free. Because a lot of times we can set other people free just by us living in our purpose and us living almost from a, hold on, my fault. Did it freeze? I don't know why this thing just froze. Hold on, give me a second. Hold on, give me a second. Let me give it a little reset. Hold on.